Nick Rowe, The Goodwill Jar, Reflections on Leadership and Legacy. Few of us would deny that nurturing our relationships is critically important. Then again, most of us would admit that in the hectic churn of work and responsibilities, it's all too easy to overlook simple opportunities to strengthen connections and spread goodwill. This blink introduces you to the concept of an emotional goodwill jar, a tool you can use to build deep connections and resilience in relationships. Through this framework, you'll learn about overcoming life's difficulties with courage and empathy so you can keep your goodwill jars full during adversity. It'll also help you set boundaries around less meaningful priorities, allowing you to fully show up for what matters most. If you yearn for more warmth, reciprocity, resilience, responsibility, and wisdom in the way you relate to others and yourself, this blink will help you achieve just that by setting up a goodwill jar of your own. Each of your relationships has a goodwill jar. A goodwill jar is a concept sometimes used by families, a physical jar placed in a central spot like the kitchen, where members can leave positive messages and affirmations for one another. This idea can also serve as a broader metaphor for tending to our relationships and connections. Imagine each of your relationships has an invisible jar that represents the foundation of positivity and care underlying that bond. Every time you have a pleasant interaction or do something kind for another person, it's like making a deposit into the shared goodwill jar. Taking on extra work to help a colleague or washing the dishes after your roommate cooks dinner would be deposits. Of course, sometimes it's also necessary to make a withdrawal against that accrued goodwill. For example, when delivering constructive criticism that might otherwise be poorly received. The fuller the metaphorical jar, the more resilient and durable a relationship will be in the face of conflicts or challenges. When you have a stockpile of goodwill, even difficult conversations can go smoothly and bring you closer, rather than push you apart. However, if your jar with someone is running low, even asking a small favor could feel taxing or overreaching. Importantly, tallying the give and take is contrary to the spirit of goodwill. The aim isn't transactional scorekeeping, but rather choosing to be generous and add value without expecting reciprocation each time. That said, if someone is regularly making deposits in your jar while seldom receiving back from you, the imbalance could eventually strain the bond. The ideal time for making goodwill deposits is always right now. There's tremendous truth in the saying, "Give them flowers while they can still smell them." We often delay expressing care or praise until it's too late for the recipient to appreciate it. When it comes to nourishing relationships, give your proverbial flowers while your loved ones are here to enjoy them. Additionally, like attracts like when it comes to goodwill. Those who share values and positive mindsets will likely fill each other's jars without even thinking about it. By surrounding yourself with such people, you create an ecosystem where care and affirmation can flourish. Be intentional in considering whose jars could use some deposits today. Whose spirits can you uplift with kind words or selfless support? The goodwill jar is a helpful tool for nurturing the bonds that matter most. Spread goodwill by being the right kind of cheerleader. Investing in relationships with others is similar to investing in a company's stock. When you buy shares in a business, you expect that over time the value of those shares will increase, generating a return on your investment. Relationships can provide returns as well, though often in less quantifiable ways. The more effort you put into building strong connections with people, the more you'll likely get out of those bonds. However, much like stock investments, returns from relationships can be unpredictable. Sometimes you might put effort into a friendship or connection, yet feel you receive little back in return. Other times, a relationship may thrive and grow with minimal nurturing. Generally, though, the healthiest and most enduring relationships tend to be reciprocal, with both parties contributing to the emotional capital. When you hit the inevitable rough patches in a relationship, try to focus on the positives from the past rather than just the present disappointment. For example, if you have a falling out with a friend who has previously been there for you, avoid burning bridges based solely on this incident. Instead, reflect on all the good times you've shared and extend some compassion. There may be external factors impacting your friend's behavior that you aren't aware of. Extending goodwill is about leading with positivity and seeking the best in each person. It means supporting people's dreams and ambitions while also gently being realistic. If a teenager shares her goal of playing professional sports one day, encourage her enthusiastically, while also guiding her to understand the dedication and hard work that reaching such a level requires. Even when you need to deliver critical feedback, you can still come from a place of goodwill, which will make it easier for the message to be heard. Particularly when speaking to someone you don't know well, first make a connection by smiling warmly, paying a compliment, or engaging them in pleasant conversation. Then, once some initial goodwill is established, carefully broach the difficult feedback you need to share. Additionally, goodwill means celebrating others' joy rather than diminishing it. If a colleague receives a promotion, share in their excitement wholeheartedly, instead of pointing out that you still make more money than they do. Similarly, leaders should resist the urge to micromanage employees' work in an attempt to prove their superiority. Doing so dampens morale. By giving people space to direct their own progress, managers create space for employees to flourish, surprise, and delight. In essence, cultivating goodwill comes down to leading with kindness, meeting each person where they are, and bringing out the best in those around you. While unpredictable at times, investing in goodwill tends to compound over time, strengthening bonds between people and organizations. The returns may not be quantifiable, but they make life far richer. Combine goodwill with good results to achieve professional success. While cultivating goodwill is crucial for workplace relationships and culture, it alone isn't sufficient for career success. If you wish to thrive, you must actively add value through your contributions. The good news is that it's entirely possible to maintain strong bonds with colleagues while also driving a positive impact. Adding value refers to bringing something of worth to your team and organization. This could take many forms, but here are some common methods. Shoulder some of a colleague's work to help your team get a project across the line. Take the initiative to help a colleague who's overwhelmed with their workload. This shows leadership, collaboration, and commitment to the team's overall success. Stepping in proactively to take on someone else's outstanding tasks could be the difference between delivering the project on time versus missing a critical deadline. Managers notice team players who are willing to roll up their sleeves for the greater good. Identify a tiresome task that everyone bickers over. It might be something as simple as cleaning the office kitchen, and discreetly complete it without complaint. Often, there are simple but necessary office duties that no one wants to take responsibility for. Something as minor as keeping the office kitchen tidy can become a sore point. Instead of complaining about the issue, observe what's falling through the cracks and handle it without fanfare. For example, you could start quietly cleaning the kitchen each evening before you leave without telling anyone. Your colleagues will appreciate and benefit from your initiative. Actions speak louder than words. Find a problem and solve it. Companies often operate in status quo modes where inefficiencies lurk unaddressed for long periods. For instance, workers may continue outdated processes merely out of habit. If you notice any part of operations that seems disjointed, dated, confusing, or suboptimal, propose a solution. Research thoroughly so you can back up your perspective with evidence. Implementing your recommendation could end up saving substantial money, time, or frustration. Be easy to work with. When it's time for layoffs, managers will be looking for people who can work calmly and efficiently, not people who cause chaos. During difficult times like downsizing or economic crunches, being perceived as reliable, self-motivated, and cross-functional dramatically increases the odds of you remaining on staff. Leaders can easily end up with biases towards more maintenance-intensive employees who demonstrate inconsistent performance, push back heavily on feedback, or contribute to office politics. Even if such individuals have other valuable skills, their manager may feel the team dynamic and culture functions better without them. Make sure you're known for remaining unflappable, even on tough days, and for smoothly partnering with diverse coworkers and teams. Those reputations will serve you incredibly well if layoffs ensue. The specific behaviors valued in organizations will differ across workspaces, but a few universal principles apply. Avoid short-term plays that could backfire over time, like manipulating colleagues. And while you focus on augmenting your own impact, urge your employer to consider how they can better serve their community too. For example, the restaurant chain Chick-fil-A is highly selective about franchise owners, choosing less than 0.25% of applicants. But this rigor ensures that only the most customer-focused owners are chosen, who then hire exceptionally friendly and competent staff for their locations. The result is unmatched service that delights patrons. You may feel unsure sometimes about how exactly to add value. When in doubt, aim to emulate Chick-fil-A's lofty standards. Pursue excellence, lift up those around you, and let positive impact be your North Star. Anywhere you work, you can create value by being your best. The bottom line is that goodwill builds relationships, while adding value delivers results and rewards. Strive for both. Avoid compromising one for the sake of the other, and you will be astonished at how far you can rise. Connect with your values, even in challenging times. Cultivating goodwill and strong connections can't shield us from all of life's ups and downs. At some point, even the most excellent partners, friends, and employees will inevitably face losses, health issues, financial strains, and other profound challenges. However, by paying mindful attention to where you currently stand in life's ebb and flow, you can navigate difficulties with grace and empathy. During peak periods when things are going well, be sure to embrace gratitude and joy in the moment, while still preparing emotionally for the inevitable valleys ahead. When you do hit those low points, reflect on how you can respond to set yourself up for future growth, instead of stagnation or cynicism. Examine whether a pattern of similar obstacles is trying to reveal something important about yourself, something you should address within. Oftentimes, our external circumstances mirror inner truths that need acknowledgement. Another unavoidable aspect of life is receiving critical feedback, even when unfairly delivered. In these moments, initially give yourself space rather than reacting defensively. Once emotions have cooled, sort through what was said with honesty and nuance. Consider what positive changes you could make, while also trusting your own instincts to dismiss feedback that feels inauthentic. Letting criticism excessively cloud your self-perception diminishes your power. Stay anchored in your worth. Additionally, mistakes and failures are part of every journey, but how we relate to them makes all the difference. Beating yourself up over errors traps you in negativity without creating change. Instead, extract lessons from each misstep or near miss, then refocus forward. Dwelling on the past breeds needless misery. By facing life's highs and lows with courage, personal responsibility, wisdom, and resilience, you can act from your highest values and fill the goodwill jars that matter most. The richness of life owes much to its unpredictable cadence between the mountaintops and valleys. Your way of walking this winding path determines everything. Keep your priorities straight. Amid the daily demands of work and routine, it's easy to lose sight of the deeper sources of meaning and purpose in our lives. That's why it's crucial to take stock of what's most valuable for you. Is it faith, family, close friendships? Whatever your answer, adopt a mantra of saving the best for first when it comes to investing your time and energy. If your family takes clear priority, this could require saying no to certain career moves in order to nurture those relationships. For example, turning down a promotion that requires relocation across the country, or missing schmoozy happy hours so you can always be at your child's soccer games. There may be some career consequences, but you'll avoid regretting how you filled the vital role of parent or child or partner. Keep in mind that if your family members are your first priority, caring for those bonds is literally a full-time job in itself. Just because you worked a long shift at the office doesn't absolve you from fully showing up at home, too. Great relationships require 100% commitment from all involved. Taking turns being the one to temporarily focus more on work or school is fine during busy seasons, but overall, the effort towards family should be balanced. Achieving that work-life balance can be challenging. Moving up to an executive-level role often demands sacrifices, like missing dinners together when kids are young. Leaving the office religiously at 5 p.m. sharp means slower promotion. So, with every priority call, weigh up whether you'll wish you chose differently later on. If a big move means disrupting home life, ensure that it's for a dream job. If you need to work late, confirm that it's mission critical and not just putting in face time. Even in retirement, when you have fewer demands on your time, you can't recreate missed opportunities like your child's violin concert or parent-teacher conference. The time and attention we give to our deepest priorities is precious and fleeting. With intention and wisdom, we can steward it well. In this blink to the Goodwill Jar by Nick Rowe, you've learned that cultivating goodwill by investing in our relationships and connections generates invaluable returns over time. Make consistent deposits through small acts of care, while also knowing when to set boundaries or say no to lower priorities for the sake of what matters most. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next blink.